Opening a Restaurant, Applied Math, and Why by James Kincaid. That's me. Why do we want to open a restaurant? So, there's a lot of different reasons to open a restaurant, but most of the basic ideas boil down to a few core concepts. People love food, and I love people. Nana's secret recipe must be shared with the world. Whether that's apple pie, curry, or some sort of pizza, you want to share it with people. I've personally always loved to cook. It's a common one that I've actually heard in my 15 years of restaurant experience before. And the last one, I've seen too many episodes of The Bear and Triple D, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives to the Food Channel-averse, and I've decided that life is definitely for me. So, we're going to reference these pictures possibly in the future. Man on the left is a line cook, man on the right is a restaurant owner. We want to be the guy on the right. Look at how happy he is. So, what kind of restaurant do we want to open? We know why we're going to do what we're going to do, but what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? So we have two basic categories. We have fast casual and full service. So with fast casual, use your fast food and your quick service. These people do a little bit of batch cooking or a lot of batch cooking depending. They're looking at a 6 to 9% net return on investment. Or no, actually 6 to 9% income. Then you have your full service, 3 to 5% net. These are your casual dining, your fine dining establishments. These tend to be a little nicer and have a wider menu. Now, don't get too attached to that 6 to 9 versus 3 to 5 here. 9% of an $8 burger is a lot less than 3% of an $80 steak. So, we got to keep that in mind for a future. We can still sell Nana's pie. We're just going to sell it next to some steaks. Or maybe we're going to sell it into the go bag. So, do we want a franchise? Then there's that brief moment where you go, what's franchising? What am I doing here? What's going on? How does this help me make money and sell Nana's recipes? So, the franchisors are the nice people that are selling us access to their business model. They're going to come with a whole lot of paperwork, marketing, advertising, training materials, occasionally suppliers we have to order through them. But they're going to give us all of that stuff. Or really some of that stuff, along with a strict list of requirements that we have to obey. In this case, think Subway Corporate. Franchisee, that's us. That's you, that's me. We're opening the place. We're the guys that are paying for it. We give them a licensing, they give us a licensing, and we give them money, and we obey all the rules and regulations they give us. So, by proxy, we're making some headway here, but they're getting something out of the deal too. In our case, think the guy that owns the local Subway. That could be us. So, if I do this, can I sell Nana's recipe? Can I sell her apple pie? No. So, the reason why franchises are successful is you always know what you're getting whenever you go into one. Every Subway has the exact same menu, for a good reason, which means you can't go off script. Does that mean that I'm guaranteed to succeed, though? I'm going to get all this training materials. I'm going to be winding up paying somewhere between $25,000 to well over $100,000 for this franchise fee. Am I going to succeed? No, not necessarily. They might even hurt you, but they could also help you. It really depends on what you're buying. Okay, so we're not sure yet, but what do we need to get started, realistically? First of all, money. Restaurants are expensive. Restaurants are actually one of the more expensive starting ventures that you can do as an individual. There's a lot of different materials, a lot of different supplies, a lot of different tools, and all of them cost money, and a lot of them cost money up front. Location. There's that whole location thing, but where you're at really makes a difference as far as whether or not your restaurant's going to succeed or fail. Is it easy to get into? Is it easy to get out of? Also, target market saturation. Kind of getting the specific terms here. If there are 8 burger places in a 5-mile radius where you'd like to open your new restaurant, your new burger place, you're not liable to succeed. All of those restaurants have been established longer than you. They have customers, they have clientele, they have regulars. You don't. There probably isn't enough market for both of you. Staffing. Can you hire everyone to staff your restaurant? Maybe it's a small operation. Maybe it's you and a couple other people just working out of a small food stall or a food truck. Or maybe you want to go for a fine dining, in which case you're looking at hiring between 40 and 70 people. This can be daunting. Which leads us to our next question. Management cooking experience. You need both to run a restaurant, to even get the doors open successfully. You need a lot of both. One of the main reasons why businesses fail is somebody lacks one or the other, whether it's skill in operations or skill in management. Licensing and inspections. Do you need them? This may vary highly depending on where you're located at. And it can be empirically important to whether or not you can even legally open the doors. And suppliers. Where are you getting your stuff from? If you're a franchise, maybe you have to order from corporate. Or maybe you're not. Maybe you're just doing your own home brew company. In which case, Gordon Food Service, FDS, where are we going from here? because these decisions might matter deceptively a lot, depending on what you get and how you get it. Okay? Let's assume we get all that taken care of. What's going to come up in our first year? Businesses struggle in the first year. I've heard about this. First of all, staffing. Restaurants have remarkable staffing and turnover during that first year. You're going to meet and interview more people than you've ever met in your life. Food suppliers. Those food suppliers you've been ordering from, they're going to have problems. Invariably. Even if it's a franchise. Maybe they don't have enough. Maybe they're out of stock. Maybe it's something that you need to operate. In the case of Gordon Food Service, maybe their prices randomly increased, which leads us into market price fluctuations. A couple of years ago, there was a chicken flu that went around and wiped out a remarkable number of chickens. While doing so, skyrocketed the price of chicken and all chicken-related things, which is problematic if you're running a chicken wing restaurant. Prices still haven't recovered. Repair issues. That flat top, that griddle we purchased back on that last page that was on sale for $1,200, ships in 7 weeks. You got one, it opened, but it broke 8 months in. Can you get another one? You can't afford to be closed for 7 weeks. All this stuff is expensive. Staff is expensive. Is there somebody in the area that can repair it? Is there a local food supply dealer where you can get another one, at least to tide you over? Market saturations. So you picked your location well. You opened up a restaurant doing burgers. There's nobody in a 10-mile radius. But a couple other people also remember their Nana's secret burger sauce recipe and went, that guy's got a successful burger restaurant. I've always wanted to do that. And opened 2 miles down the road from you. Is there enough market share for all 3 restaurants now? Maybe, maybe not. Which actually ties us into Quiznos. Quiznos, one of those fun franchises, was subject to a class action lawsuit regarding deceptive franchise practices that drove many prospective franchisees to ruin and one to suicide. And that one's got news articles, and reading it is actually very sad. Social media. It's either a feather in your cap or a weight around your ankle. Social media is either going to help carry and get you established during that first year growing pains, or it is going to drown you. And it might not look like what you'd expect. You might get a TikTok trend and suddenly have more business than you can handle. Which sounds good, until you think about staffing, food costs, food supplies, and going, oh crap, we might run out of food. And then all of a sudden, one great review turns into a storm of negative ones. How do you handle that? Which leads us to our next slide. Failure rates of businesses in general, and specifically in restaurants. This is just pulled directly from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is us here. Combination in food services. Tracking from 2013 down to 2023. The average failure rate of businesses has been trending at about 20% on average during the first year from the most recent data from their site from 2023 to 2024. That's across all businesses. So your trend is going to be pretty rough. The average right now for 2024 was right around 23.8%. So even if you do everything right, you've got a 25% chance that you're not open next year. That's pretty stiff. You've been working 70 hours a week, you've purchased all this stuff, you've been doing great, and you're 2 coin flips away from not being open anymore. Which leads us to our next topic. High yield savings accounts in the stock market. So according to economist Robert Shiller, the average return on investment of the S&P 500 is right around 7.58 annualized return, or 10.51 with dividends reinvested. This is actually a pretty solid return with your investment. You're going to drop some capital, you're going to have to wait a while, you're going to have to play a little bit smart with it, but you're going to get a decent payout at the end of it. Now, if you want to be a little bit more casual with your investments, there are high-yield savings accounts. They start at around 4.1% annualized percentage yield. These banks are usually FDIC insured, so you're almost definitely going to get your money back, and you're going to get a nice return on the spread. You might not have access to it, but you're not going to watch it catch fire. Wait a second, what were our profit margins again? 6 to 9% and 3 to 5? Uh-oh. Wait a second, do we want to open a restaurant at all? So going back to chapter 5, we had the entrepreneurial spirit is a desire to create a new business. You've really got to want it to go into the restaurant industry. We need independence to learn everything that we're not going to know at the start of this, and there's going to be a lot of stuff we don't know. We need a desire to change your destiny, particularly relating to sharing Nana's recipe. If you want to share Nana's apple pie recipe, you really, really got to want it. We need a willingness to address and find all the changes and challenges that are definitely going to come our way. Because there's going to be stuff you never see coming. You're not going to know that your fryer is going to break if you push these buttons in this order. You're going to need no small amount of starting capital. Again, restaurants are expensive, really expensive. And lastly, we need one heck of a business plan to plan out all the stuff that we've already talked about here and a whole lot more. There's going to be bumps in the road you never see coming, and that's why you need that business plan to get it going. In conclusion, bibliography for references. Opening a restaurant is not for the faint of heart. It's something that's a passion, and everybody looks at it and goes, well, anybody can cook, this is great, this is perfect for me. I'll share my life, my culture, my family, my language, my history with the world, and I'll see their smiling faces. It ain't that easy. There's a lot of problems with it. It's really expensive, and it's really going to make you want to tear out your hair. But, for the people that are driven to do it, a lot of them are happy with their choices. Me personally, I'm going to get a high yield savings account.